Hey YouTube. So, wanted to spend some time sort of putting together a compilation of the negatives of having the surgery. And I'm almost hesitant to do this because I don't want it to be perceived that I think these outweigh the health benefits and the life benefits of having the surgery, because they don't. Even collectively, when you add them all together, this is the best decision I've made. And I don't regret it for a second. But that said, there are things that I have had to learn to adjust to. Some of which you can easily find out when you read about the surgery, and those are easy. Those are the known knowns, if you want to call them that. There are things I've discovered along the way, though, that are side effects, that are really common side effects, apparently, because I see people posting about them and talking about them. And I just wanted to tell people, because if someone sees this video before going to the surgery, my feeling is always be prepared. And if you're going to go into this surgery, you better have eyes wide open as to what it's going to mean for your life. So I have a Seinfeld-esque list of grievances, if you will. And I have them on a piece of paper underneath my camera, so forgive me if I occasionally have to look down at them to see what they say, but I think I can nail most of them off the top of my head. And they're not ranked in any particular order, although I'm going to talk about the ones that bother me toward the front, and then we'll work down to the things that don't really bother me, but may bother you. So first of all, this changes your life. I'm only 2 months out, so I'm far from a veteran, but this has changed my life in so many ways. It's changed my dynamic with food, with eating, with my view on life, my view of what's possible, what is probable, and what's likely. And it's a head game. You really do have to have your head in this, because just your body alone won't do it. This is as much mental as it is physical. And I knew that going into it. There's a great book, by the way, called The Emotional First Aid Kit. I think it's called A Guide for Living After Bariatric Surgery. Excellent book. Highly recommend it, and I'll put the link to it in the comments. It talks a lot about that, and this has been as much mental as it has been physical. So first of all, the negatives, if you will, and again, do not think this is making me regret having the surgery, but some of the negatives. I'm cold all the time. Now, it's March. I just got through winter. It's been a cold winter. So that's part of it. But you may have noticed in all these videos, post-surgery, I'm wearing a long-sleeve shirt. Very unusual for me. I used to be the guy who would go out and check the mail in shorts and a t-shirt. This is a Carhartt long-sleeve construction quality thermal top. And I'm chilly right now. And the cold has been as a direct result of the surgery. Whether it's losing the weight, whether it's a changed circulation system, I'm not sure. But it was pretty instant after the surgery, and it's been pretty thorough. My hands right now are frigid. I don't like being cold, but I've gotten used to this to a degree, and I'm warming my hands up a little bit with each other right now. So that was sort of not a surprise, because some people did tell me that, but I didn't understand the depth of it. And I think it's a circulation issue. A lot of people say it does eventually go away when you stabilize, but right now, man, I am freezing all the time. So that's the big one for me. In the too much information category, which, what the hell, let's talk about too much information. I am constipated, like really constipated. You asked for it, you're watching the video, and I warned you, too much information. Constipation is a really big deal right now, and has been for a few weeks, especially since the solid food. I'm taking an iron supplement. I'm eating mostly protein. I'm now taking some laxatives on a regular basis to just try to move things along. I'm not saying I'm uncomfortable, but it's not far from being uncomfortable. And it seems to be a common side effect for people. So I wanted to mention that. Along the same route, because I'm having so much whey protein, and because I'm having a lot of dairy, I think, very gassy. Again, too much information, but you're already in this, so why not? Very gassy. Stomach is always doing things. I've always got something going on in my digestive system, and it's a fun house, I tell you. But I'm pretty gassy a lot, and that's that. Head hunger. I've said in other videos, I don't really have much physical hunger at all. I don't physically crave food. My head hunger, though, has come back. And for those of us who are obese, you know that's the killer. There's no reason to be scarfing down Fritos at 10:30 at night, but you do. And that's a head hunger thing. I've been very lucky that my head hunger so far has been for sort of the approved foods. I had a head hunger thing for some jerky last week, which is fine. Good protein source. Chewed it well. That was fine. Have not craved carbs. Have not craved things I shouldn't have. Even to chew up and taste. Not really there yet. Maybe it'll come. But I was surprised the head hunger did come back because I was told that you know, it might hold off a little bit longer. I'm 2 months out and I'm getting it. I do find it's easier to squash and easier to identify because really I'm not hungry. So if I crave something, I think to myself, okay, I'm not physically hungry right now, so why am I craving this thing? And I can kind of back off and do that. So that's good. Eating and drinking slowly is a challenge. Anyone watching this who has not had surgery yet, I would strongly advise you to start practicing as soon as you think you're going to have the surgery. Small bites, cut things up really small. Small bites. Use a baby fork or baby spoon, or they call them appetizer forks and spoons now if you want to get a metal one. Very small bites, chew thoroughly, and pause between your meals. Taste your food, which is a good opportunity because you're eating so slow you can. That's been a strange thing to get used to. I'm a very fast eater, and this has been an adjustment. Lunches, dinners, you know, 15 to 20 minutes for me, occasionally half an hour if it's something very dense. I'm certainly the last one always done. Is always eating at the table, which is weird. The not drinking during meals doesn't really affect me as much as I thought it was going to. You really can't drink during your meals. Half hour before, half hour after is fine, but not during the meal. I got used to that. And again, if you're thinking about having the surgery, start working on that sooner rather than later. Because it's an adjustment for most people. Even at restaurants, they pour water for you and you don't have any, and they're like, well, do you want something to drink? I can't. Loose skin is another thing that you should be aware of. I'm lucky to not have much on my arms. Again, TMI, but you know, my man boobs are still there. My waist is still there. The skin definitely feels looser. I'm hoping to work out a little bit more, maybe tone it up a little bit, but you know, I've got a decade's worth of fat that has pushed out the skin, and I'm not sure it's coming back to tone. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but loose skin is an issue. I don't think it's any more unsightly than just the sight of an overweight person, but it's there, and by summertime it might kind of become unsightly. We'll have to see. I'm hoping, especially with the chest, if I'm working out, I'm doing free weights and elliptical, and I'm hoping they'll tone it up a little bit. So that's that. The things that don't really bother me as much but may bother other people are carbs. I'm perfectly fine with a low carb diet. I've done it before. I enjoy it. I like eating meat and protein. But if you like carbs, you should really think long and hard about this surgery, because for all intents and purposes, at least in the beginning, I'm 2 months out, so maybe this changes, but you're really on a carb-free diet for a long time. Your goal is to get your protein in first, and then fruits and vegetables, and then carbs if there's room. There's not going to be room, at least in the beginning. I do hear about people having carbs down the road, 6 months, 8 months, year down the road, and then, you know, years people have carbs. But if you really are craving carbs and you really seriously don't think you can give it up, you want to really think about doing this, because it's going to be very difficult for you. I don't find it difficult, but I know a lot of people do, and I want to mention it. It's in all the books, and you know this already, but I really want to say what the reality of it is I'm just now introducing very small amounts of carbs in my diet. Melba rounds, like little hard crackers, I'm having a couple a day maybe. That's about the extent of my carb intake, to be honest with you. Really not much. So just be aware of that. Clothes, have some money set aside for buying new clothes, because you're going to just melt through sizes, especially in the beginning. I was a 56 at my peak. I'm a 44 now. Even the 44s, I'm not saying they're loose, but they're not tight. And I'm going through clothes like at a clip you wouldn't believe. I'm pulling out stuff from my closet I haven't seen since the first Clinton administration, and it's crazy. Not all of it should be worn, I should point that out. So I'm doing stuff, getting it to Goodwill, but you're going to be going through clothes. So think about strategies for that. Clothing swaps are great. Goodwill is great. Or if you want to go out and just buy new clothes all the time to celebrate, knock yourself out. It's something worth celebrating, something to really cherish and be happy about. But you are going to go through clothes. You know, the last part is, I think everyone's different about this, and I see so many people online writing about this, mostly women I should point out, is the attention you get. If you don't like people paying attention to you, don't have the surgery. People will notice, people will comment. I get comments every single day about it. And even people who say, well, I'll just not answer them. You know, you're going to be losing a serious amount of weight. At some point, you're going to have conversations about this. And so get used to your own skin, pardon the pun. I don't mind it at all. I'm an open book. I share things I shouldn't share, as you've just heard. But I pretty much will talk about anything to anyone at any time. If you're not like that, this might be difficult for you because people are going to comment, people are going to mention, people are going to talk. And if that's not a comfortable situation for you, you need to think about coping strategies for that ahead of time. I literally every day goes by, someone says something about my weight. And in some ways, you know, we do this so we can not worry about our weight, but it's probably brought to our attention more than ever. I don't mind. I'm flattered by it. I like talking. I like talking to people. I like having conversations. I like sharing, and I like that people have noticed. But if you're not like that, think about this and think about how you're going to deal with that, because I think you're going to be finding it's much more prevalent than we think it is. You know, even the very act of going to a restaurant. I mentioned before I went out. I didn't mention this video. I mentioned in another video. I went out for lunch yesterday with a colleague. And the waitress, you know, he ordered a soup and sandwich, and I ordered a quarter pound of chicken salad. And she's like, well, do you want bread with that? I said, no. She said, do you want lettuce or anything? I said, no. She said, do you want something to drink? I said, no. She said, are you okay? Like, I mean, this is a waitress. I've never met this person before, and she's asking if I'm okay with just a quarter pound of chicken salad. That's an average person on the street. Your friends, your coworkers, your colleagues, your spouse, your partners, your everything. It's going to become a regular point of conversation. And for my friends watching this, do not by any stretch of the imagination think that I'm pointing out anyone or anything like that. You know I like talking about this stuff. So this is me talking. I'm perfectly comfortable with the attention. I posted it to Facebook, for God's sakes. So 250 people saw it. So everyone knows, and I'm not shy about it. But if you are shy about it, it may not be that comfortable for you. So that's what I've got so far for negatives 2 months out. It's not a game changer in terms of most of the side effects, but I do want people to know about them going in, because I think it's only fair to share this experience with people now that I've committed to doing this video series, and talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And there are bad and ugly parts. I have not thrown up at all. A lot of people say if you overeat or eat the wrong thing, you're thrown up. I haven't had that experience. That's a common side effect, though. As is something called sliming, which I haven't had that experience either. And sliming is essentially when you work on typically a piece of steak or pork or something dense, and as you're swallowing it, your stomach is just rejecting it, saying, no, too dense, doesn't work. Unfortunately, your mind's already told your stomach there's food coming, so it produces a lot of saliva, and the saliva has nowhere to go, essentially, so you get a mouthful of saliva. I have not had that experience yet, nor have I had the experience of absolutely rejecting food, but it's common. You can read about it a lot online, so just be aware of that, because that's a side effect you should know about too. You know, the actual surgery itself was fine. The recovery from the surgery itself was as expected. I think that's the biggest thing for me is, are there negatives? Yeah. Are they unexpected? No. You know, I was pretty well versed about this going into it, and I want people to feel the same way. So that's what I've got. If you have questions, please post them in comments. Happy to answer them. You can email me, onelifetosleeve@gmail.com. Happy to answer them. You know, this has been a really good decision. And if people are watching this haven't had the surgery, I would encourage you to. Even with these negatives, even together with these negatives, even with these negatives times 2, be there for the people who love you. And the surgery helps you do that. And I don't regret it for a second. It's got a long journey ahead of me, and I'm looking forward to it. And this surgery gives me things to look forward to. So that's all I got for now. And if I think of more, I'll add them. But I think that's a pretty good summary of where I am right now with the negative things I found. And good luck to everyone out there. It's a rough road at times, but it's one that you should take. All right. Take care.